Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video from JaJaNails. We're going to be doing a sugaring method today, which I'm very excited to show you guys because it's a super easy method to do and I quite enjoy doing it. We're doing a bit of a round nail today. I thought I'd switch it up and do something a little different. As you can see, I'm highly struggling to just buffer this poor nail. I usually do it on like proper nail stands, but just for you, I do it on this display stand, which is not meant for things like buffering, but you know, c'est la vie. So obviously before any type of design or anything like that, we are going to be doing proper prep work. We're going to be doing our cuticle pushback, our removal of any shine, all of that jazz before we go into any proper application. So we are going to be using, of course, colors from my new collection, the Tawny Nude Collection, and we're going to be using 3 different colors today. We're going to be using Almondy, which is like that light kind of almondy color, obviously. Super great at describing. And we're going to be using JaJa and Paprika. So, going in with our base coat, we need to be applying our base color first. As always, you don't even have to do a base color if you really don't want to. You could do a clear, you could do whatever you want if you want more of an interesting kind of style for your nails. Because this can be either a accent nail or a full set, depending on what you would prefer to do. So I find Almondy is a really awesome base color for most designs because it's a very nice light shade and it's extremely buildable, so it can be as sheer as you want or as opaque as you want, whatever you prefer. So I applied a thin layer of base coat and then I gave it a nice dip and gave it a few seconds to dry before brushing off the extra powder. And this one I wanted to do a bit more sheer in comparison to my previous video because I just wanted to switch it up a little bit. And that dot that you see on the nail is not actually on the nail, it is in the clear clay that is underneath. So we're going to give that bit of bonder so that we can not have any color bleeding to make sure everything stays in place. And we're going to give that a little bit of time to dry before going into the next step. And this is just Future Jenica popping in here real quick. I actually applied a top coat before moving on because you need it to not adhere to the rough base there, so you have to do a top coat. Before going on to the next part of the design, I'm going to give a little bit of a file just to make sure that my shape is staying the way that I want it to. And because I'm not applying any color near the tip there, I want to make sure it's filed before anything else because I don't want to lose any color while doing this. So we're going to be going in with both of our Paprika and our JaJa in just a moment. But before we do that, we're going to be applying our gel nail polish. Now this has to be done with gel. I'm just using one from Born Pretty, which you can find on Amazon, but you're better to find it on AliExpress because you can get larger quantities of it for much less expensive, and there's a lot more choice product options on AliExpress. So I'm taking a little dotting tool and I'm making 2 little dots, and I'm just going to kind of do this all around, and I'm going to do just a couple first because I'm doing one color before I do the other. But these dots are just going to create a bit of a outline for yourself. It's to make hearts very easily, and you want to keep in mind that you want to have a little bit of space between your dots because if you put them pretty much on top of each other, it's not going to create a very nice heart shape. So I'm going to take a very small dotting tool and I'm just going to connect the 2 together, make a little heart. So those ones I didn't place far enough apart, and you can kind of see it because you do want the because like this one's quite nice because the little dots are far enough so you can see there's a nice little bump on the top, but some of them are a little bit too close together like this guy. But it's good to show you kind of both methods, but it's better to have the dots further apart than too close. So that's enough for my first color. So before anything else, I'm not going to cure it first. I'm actually going to pour the powder over top of the wet gel, being very careful to not mess it up or smudge it in any way. And you may have to go over it several times because it likes to absorb the dust quite quickly. Don't worry too much if it looks kind of messy. You actually want to put it into the light while it's kind of covered in dust. You don't want to wipe anything off quite yet because you absolutely need the powder to not mess up, and if you wipe it now, all your gel is going to go smearing everywhere, and that's not ideal. So simply cure it, and we can move on to the next part. Alright, so we're taking Jessica now, and we're going to do pretty much the exact same thing, and I'm going to take my item out of the light, and we're going to be dusting off all the extra powder. I did it kind of off screen because I'm doing it directly into my garbage pail, but I'm just brushing it all off using a big fluffy brush, and if you find that there's still stuff, okay, never mind, I did do it on camera. I don't even remember what I recorded anymore. So I'm just doing that. If you find that it's still sticking to your surface there, then that is totally okay. And we're going to be applying more of our dots. This time this is going to be for the other color, so you can kind of stick them in there wherever you can find space. Another option you can do for this style is you can just do like maybe one or two of each color, or even have like 3 colors in there and then just do like one big heart of each color. I've seen that done too, and that's quite cute. Now, if you see that your hearts are bleeding in any way, you can see that a little bit on my hearts there. It's because you need to remove the powder that's on the surface that's not the other hearts. I failed to do this, and I can see the results of this happening, and you do not want your hearts to bleed. It's gonna look real stupid, like I was finding that mine was looking like. So what I would really suggest doing is taking a little cotton pad. Like, I ended up just removing it because I hated how much it was bleeding. So I wiped off the surface of it, English. You can't take off the powder that's on there already because it's been cured, it's already locked in with the gel that's been put in the light, so don't worry about that. You really just want to make sure the surface is not going to bleed because of the powder sticking to the smooth surface of it. It's going to give yourself like a much smoother result, and you're going to like it a lot more. So you can see here on these hearts I gave myself a bit more room between the dots because that's going to create a much better heart overall. It's going to look a lot smoother. If I would actually get in frame, that would just be Gucci. Good job, Jenica. You're really on point here today. And while I'm thinking of it, I should probably mention about the little ring that's on my finger. These are actually lash glue rings that I got off of Amazon, and I freaking love these things because I just put my little dot of gel in there and it works so well for me to keep going because I hated having to open the polish container and dip into it every single time. So it's just a much faster application. So here, of course, I'm just applying my powder. I'm doing it multiple times because the powder is sinking into the gel, making sure that all of my sides and everything is properly covered. I had the biggest brain fart all of a sudden right there. So I'm going to cover my container in just a moment and put it away because I no longer need it. And that, my dudes, was Jessica. I absolutely love that color, and my friend Jessica was actually the reason for the name, because she's the one who's like, hey, you should make this color, and I was like, yeah, I should make that color. It's very cute, so I love it very much. So we're gonna let that cure properly in the light, and then we are going to brush all the dust off as we did before. And that is our design. We don't need to apply a top coat. This is one of the few designs that we didn't do it at the end, because as I mentioned earlier, we did it right before we did the hearts. And the reason we're doing that is because if you apply a top coat over top of that, you're going to not get the results you want. You're going to cover the texture of the hearts, and it's just not going to be as cute. So you don't have to be as excessive with the hearts as I was, but this is kind of like a little example. You can do it differently. You can do hearts bigger, you can do them smaller, whatever you feel like doing. They don't have to be facing all the different ways. But make sure that you're wiping off the surface of your nail with that cotton pad and acetone. Alright, and that's everything, guys. If you have any questions or concerns or whatever it is, please reach out to me. I'm so happy to answer your questions. And thanks so much for watching. I hope this helps. Have a great day, guys. See you in the next one. Bye!